Hi everyone, Krista back with Georgia Soap Creations. I decided it was time to make another soap and another video. I'm in the process right now of melting down my hard oils and butters. This is one of my luxury soap bases, so it does have shea butter and cocoa butter both in it. And as you can see, they are almost completely melted. And in this little container, I have my liquid oils, along with my coconut milk and my kaolin clay. So I'm going to give this a stir to get the kaolin clay off the bottom. The kaolin clay helps the fragrances stick better in the soap, as well as provide what is called slip to the soap, so that it glides on your skin smoother when you are bathing with it. We're going to get this all in, and then we're going to get it stick blended and get going with making this soap. The soap I'm making today is an Easter soap. It's going to have bunnies and duckies on the top of it. And it's going to be fragranced. I'm going to separate out for 5 colors. The duckies are all done in yellow. The bunnies are done in pink, blue, purple, and green. So I'm going to do a white base to this soap, then a drop swirl with the pink, purple, yellow, blue, and green, so that the swirl inside the soap matches the color of the bunny and duck embeds on top. Each color is going to have its own fragrance. But what I'm using is a different spring flower fragrances. So I'm thinking I may call it, I'm not sure if I want to call it Easter flowers or if I want to call it spring time something or other. I'm not sure. I was thinking Easter flowers, but I'm not putting flowers on the top of it. It's gonna, like I said, the bunnies and ducks are going on the top. So when you watch this video, if you can think of something that it may work better to call it, drop me a comment and let me know. Alright, so we're going to bring in our stick blender and burp out the air bubbles. And we'll get this blended so we can get our colors separated off. And, excuse me one moment, I gotta grab my little spoons so that I have them for my colors. 2, 4. I'll use 4 because I have one back here for my blue color already. I'm gonna just bring this to what is called emulsification. There's different layers that you can bring this batter to depending on how you want to pour your soap and what fragrances you're using. Since I'm using floral fragrances, they tend to accelerate trace in the soap. Sometimes they'll race, so you'll have to do some extra stick blending to get them smooth. So I'm just going to bring this to the first stage, which is called emulsification, which just means that all of the butters and oils and the lye water and the coconut milk and everything is blended together and will not separate. By doing that, it gives you more time to work with the fragrances if they do accelerate trace, to be able to get them stick blended if they do rice, as well as mixing in the colors. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend the colors first before I add in the fragrance. That way I can get the colors blended off and make sure that they are thoroughly blended before I go mixing in the fragrance on the off chance that I do have to stick blend it. Alright, so these 5 smaller containers are going to be for my colors. Make me some room to work, and I'm going to pour out approximately the same amount for each. The nice thing with using these big measuring cups basically for the kitchen is that they have the measurements on it, so I can make sure that I get the exact same amount poured. The usage rate with fragrance oils for soap is 1 ounce of fragrance oil per 1 pound of soap batter. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm pouring these out into 1 pound increments. And then let's see, where did I put that other one? I want to put the remainder of this into one because it'll be easier for me to blend it. I'm not sure if this will hold all of this, but we're going to see. Just barely. I'll put off a little bit more in each of these just to make it even. You know, springtime's when all the flowers and everything are back into bloom. So that's why I wanted to go with these pretty springtime colors. Alright, now when I blend this white into this, I'll have to be careful because it is on the fuller side, but it will be fine. I'll set that one off onto the side and clean up the soap batter that I've managed to dribble all over the place. Alright, now I'm going to slide each of these back because I'm only going to work with one color at a time. And then, like I said, each of them will get their own color. Or I mean their own fragrance, and I'm going to hand stir those all in separately. So we're going to start with this one because it's the white, and I'm going to blend them in order of lightest color to darkest color. So for the white, we use titanium dioxide to color it. Hoping that the fragrance I picked for the white does not discolor. But as you can see, it's a pretty clear liquid, and usually the clear liquids do not discolor. Alright. Not going to do any more stick blending than that. And like I said, in case I do have to, when I do add that fragrance. I'm going to go ahead and scrape this off as much as I can. Set the stick blender to the side. Give us a hand stir real quick. Alright. Go ahead and sit and move them this way as I get them blended. Bring this one in. We're going to go with our yellow next. Start with that amount and we'll go from there. I can always add more color, but I cannot take it away. . want to set these fragrances with each color as I move them so I remember which one I'm putting in what. Alright. That one is good. Alright, now let's see. Green, pink. Okay, this one was yellow. Let's get that out of the way. And we're going to bring in the pink. I'm anticipating these fragrances not behaving well, like I said, because they are floral, but I can always hope that they will. Alright, now I do want this more of a pastel-y pink color, so what I'm going to do is add just a tiny bit of the titanium dioxide into it. I do not want the colors being exact matches to the embeds, so that way the embeds will contrast. You to the side for a moment. Alright, I think that is going to be good there, and that one is getting that. I'm going to wipe this excess white off of this stick blender. Okay. And no, I'm not throwing anything on the floor. I do have a garbage can at the end of my table. Now we're going to go with the green. I'm hoping that none of these fragrances discolor, because then if they do, then my colors are not going to hold true and it's going to turn out to be an ugly soap. But we will just see how they behave. All fragrance oils behave differently in soap based on the ingredients you're using. One can behave well in a batch of soap today, but you change one ingredient that's in that soap and come make that exact same soap tomorrow and have one heck of a mess on your hands. Alright, so we're going with, let's see, I think we're going to do the blue next. Oops. And they can leave a voicemail. I'll set that over there. Normally I will mute my phone before I get started, and I forgot to. Alright, so let's go with the blue. hardest to get to go to its true color because the olive oil adds a yellowness to the soap to begin with. So, you know, as we all know, yellow and blue make green, so always wants to go to a greeny color. We're going to go with that. I think that's a nice, pretty pastel blue. Yeah, it works well in favor of green color. But when it comes to the blue, it just always counteracts it. And if I'm doing a deep blue, like my sapphire blue that I do, then it doesn't really affect it. But when I'm trying for the lighter blues, that's when I have the harder time achieving that color that I'm looking for. Alright, that one's going to get that one. And last color now is going to be my purple. Purple is another one that's hard to get a true purple color out of, but it's just because of the colorants itself. I might have to get moving with this because the batter itself is thickening up. Well, that did not add any purple color at all. Let's try and add some of this. Now that's purple. But as you can see, like I said, the colorants react differently. That first purple I put in, it's called Divine Grape. And it did not even color it whatsoever. Alright. Now, I'm going to go ahead and clean my stick blender off, just in case I do have to start blending these again. Keep a big container of water, hot water back here, so that when I do have to rinse it off in between colors or what have you, it's relatively quick to do. Get this lid on this color before I spill it everywhere. Alright. Whoops, this one's going here. This goes there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and add in the fragrance. I can see this is probably going to discolor my white just by the way it's acting. Hopefully it will prove me wrong, but I wouldn't hold my breath. It looks like it may want to take it to a lavendery color, which will actually, if that's what it ends up doing, will be fine. That will work with this soap. Oh, and it smells so clean and refreshing and spring-like. Alright, well that fragrance, knock on wood, is playing nicely. So we'll slide that one. Go with this one. Alright, this one is wanting to rise a little bit. Let's see if we can hand stir it out or if it will need to be stick blended. Nope, it's going to need stick blended. Alright. So let's lay that there. And I think I am going to add just a tiny bit of titanium dioxide to this yellow to tone it down some. And start some to start. This one is already accelerating as I expected, so I may not get the drop swirl that I'm wanting to do. What I might end up having to do today is a good old plop swirl. But we will see how things progress. Alright, now this one I need my scale for because it's a bigger bottle. These small bottles are all 1 ounce bottles, so I can just dump them straight in. This one I have to measure out though because it is actually a 4 ounce bottle. Okay. I will have to with the blue one as well because it's another bigger bottle. I just hope that these fragrances I chose, they smell really good out of the bottle, holding all 5 bottles up to my nose, 6 bottles actually. They smell really good that way. I just hope that they blend well in the soap. That one actually did not need stick blended. It played rather nicely. And the green one, I'm actually, it's not a floral scent going into it. It's a scent called Rain. And I wanted to use that in it just for that spring freshness, you know, that smell that you get from the first spring rains. That's what this fragrance reminds me of, and I just thought it would go well with the flowers. And obviously not. This one is racing really bad. So I may end up not having green in my soap and it being a smaller batch of soap than I anticipated. Actually blending out, so that's surprising, as bad as it raced originally. I'm definitely not going to get a drop swirl with this one, but I can always just plop it in and alright. Honestly, like I said, I am surprised that as much as that one raced, that it even stick blended out at all. So I can work with this though. But as you can see now, that just that little extra stick blending, it is nice and smooth. But oh, does it smell amazing. That's going to be one of the fragrances that if I want to make a full soap out of it and make notes of it, that is one that I will do the hot process style soap, which is cooking it in a crock pot, which is not one of my favorite things to do. But soaps like that, or fragrances like that, seem to play better in the hot process method. There we go. And this one I have a fair idea is going to race pretty good as well. surprisingly, it's not ricing at all. I've actually found some good florals. It is hard to come across florals that do not rice and do not accelerate your soap batter to what we call soap on a stick, where you can basically just pull your spoon out of your batter and it's just completely hard on there because it made everything so thick. Alright, let's make sure we're in the frame. We can get the stick blender out of the way now, as well as that lid. Alright, that's still workable. Pink is workable. Lavender. Yep, the only one that's really gonna be the issue that I'm not gonna be able to get my drop swirl out of is going to be that green. That's okay. It will work. I will make it work. I will end up doing a chopstick or a spoon swirl in this, so it'll be fine. Alright, so we're going to start with the white base. Pour a decent layer of that down in. And then I'm just going to start, give this a shake, get it level, even out. I think I want to put some more in. There we go. Whoops. Get this off the side. I don't want that there. And then I'm just going to start dropping in my colors. Go with some yellow. And I stir them all right before I pour them, because that just, if they thicken a little bit, that just helps loosen the batter up again. The higher up that you pour your soap batter down in from, the farther down into the soap mold it goes. This blue I actually thought was going to be my worst one, and surprisingly it is actually the best one. Alright, let's get you loosened up a little bit. I may actually be able to get somewhat of a drop plop into it. It's going to be a plop, but that's okay, like I said. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come in with a wooden spoon and swirl these all together. That way it gets the green down in there. And yes, the top looks nasty right now, but we're going to fix that. We're going to come back to our colors again. And let's go in reverse this time. What I'm going to do with this, because of how thick the green is, I'm just going to drop it in different spots so that we get green throughout the whole loaf of soap. And when I drop the other colors back in, maybe they'll help push it down in a little bit. And yes, I have more soap batter than I need for this mold, as always. I use the rest to do samples out of. Put much on because I did want to put a white top to it. And then I'm just gonna speckle the top of it with color and swirl it before I put on the embeds. So I'm trying to make sure I don't get too much, so I don't overfill it too much. And tell you what, let's just drop you. Yeah, you're still fluid, but let's just drop you so I don't get too much in there. Alright, now, I don't want to go as deep this time, so I'm not going to use that spoon. I'm going to come in with the end of a skewer. I'm just hoping that my colors do not change much at all because of the fragrances, because otherwise, if it does, it's going to be one ugly soap. Alright, tap it to level it out. Hang on 1 second, I have to reply to my husband. Well, go ahead and get it and get some other variety ones. Alright, now. I thought I muted you. Hang on. Sorry, I guess I did not. Now I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to lay white the whole way across the top. And I used, I wasn't going to use white in this soap at all because, you know, it's the pastel colors that you associate with spring. But I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, you know, go ahead and use the white so that the colors stand out better, for one. But for two, I look at it this way, that white's representing the everything being awoke to its innocence, you know, of being new for the year, like a new baby, you know, their purity and innocence. So I don't know if that makes sense to anybody but me, but I just thought that it worked well to be able to incorporate the white and have a reason for it. You know, that spring birth of everything, you know, the flowers coming out after their long winters away. I just, you know, we always associate white with, you know, newborn babies and their innocence. So that's why I thought that it would work, given that aspect of it. Alright, just get this last little bit covered here. Shake it. Tap it. Tapping helps to settle the soap into the mold and get rid of any air bubbles. Because of the thickness of that green batter and spoon swirling it, when I unmold and cut these bars, there may be some air pockets in it, but I've come to learn that, you know, it's a handmade product, so I don't really let the air pockets concern me, because, you know, it goes to show that it's handmade, that it's made with love and care and not mass produced on big machines. I just hope what I envisioned for this soap turns out in the end. If not, then there'll be a whole lot of bars that I don't like going out as samples, because I will either rebatch the whole batch or I will cut it down into samples and put them aside to go out with orders. I think that'll do it for the pink. Sorry, I don't talk that much. I get wrapped up in focusing on what I'm doing, that it just slips my mind that I'm even actually doing a video. I don't even know if these embeds are going to look right on this soap. I don't know. I just thought they were cute, wanted something different than what I normally do, and thought, why not for Easter? And surprisingly, this is the one I thought I would have the most problem with, and it is still, I mean, I can pour this no problem. But isn't it the way it goes? What you think's going to cause you the most problems is never what does. Alright. And I don't know if we're going to be able to get any of this green on here. It's gotten rather thick. We'll see if we can get a little bit of it to smooth out as I do my chopstick on the top. There we go. All right. Yeah, it'll move with that batter. That's good. Get it moved right now. Come back down this way. And because of the embeds for the that go on the top, we're going to call it good at that. I'm going to clean up my sides. If I don't clean them up, then I have one heck of a time getting this soap. No, not particularly this soap, but any soap that I do in this mold. If I leave it come over the wood, then I have a hard time getting it out, because this actually drops down through the bottom and out. Fresh paper towel and clean my hands off so that I can grab these embeds. Now, every bar of soap, I should say, not every piece, is going to get a yellow duck. So I'm going to go ahead and sit these in. See, this is just what they look like. But every bar will also get a bunny head, but they will be different colored. This is going to be the only batch of soap of this particular soap fragrance mixture that I do. So I will get, if I count the end bars, I'll get 16 bars of soap. So that is all that will be up for grabs when this is ready at the end of March. Alright, so that takes care of those. Now we'll come back in with the bunny heads. Let's move these out. These were just little ones I was playing around with. So let's go with a blue, and then a green, pink, and of course the purple ones are buried. Purple. We're just going to alternate them in that color sequence down the line. And there's no design really to them, it's just a bunny head. Come on, you guys stand right for each bar of soap. There we go. And I will ask, and I've had people do it in the past. Oh, wait a minute. Blue, green, pink, purple. Blue, green, pink, purple. Blue, green, pink. Alright, I'm going to have to do, we'll do purple here. And blue, green, pink. There we go. I knew I messed something up. Oh well. I am going to ask that anybody that does order this soap from me, please do not ask me for a specific color of the bunny heads, because it is just too hard. I've had people do that before, and it is just too hard to keep all of my orders, as well as, you know, my regular job that I have and everything else that I have going on. It's just too hard to keep everything straight and do that. So it is just going to be a random colored bunny head that you get with your soap. I apologize if you know, if that might make somebody mad, but I'm only one person running this business, taking care of my house, homeschooling my son, working a full-time job for Apple customer service. So I can only do so much in a day, and I'm sorry. Alright, so we just glitterified that top up. I'm going to turn it. And there we have it. Maybe I'll call it Springtime Madness. I'm not sure yet. But because I am making it in time for Easter, I did want to incorporate Easter in the title. So I'm just not sure. Maybe Spring in Bloom. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I have to figure it out before I get labels made for it. Alright, well this is made, so I'm going to set it aside and let it do its thing. When I come back and cut it, I'll attach it to this video, and then I'll get it uploaded afterwards. I'm going to take the rest of this batter and get it off into my sample trays. So I'll see you again soon. Alright, whoops, quit shaking. I am back to cut my Easter soap. As you can see, I've got it out of the mold and then on my cutter. So we're just going to go ahead and get it cut. Nice and hard already. Grab this end so it don't drop down too much. Alright, so let's pull it out and see what it looks like. So far, the colors are holding well. Usually if it's going to discolor, you will see the initial discoloration on the edges, but so far it's not. So hopefully this color will remain the way it is. I think the colors turned out very nice, representative of pastel spring colors. I think it is very, very cute. And the combination of fragrances, it smells very spring-like. They really worked out well together. And I'll tell you in a minute exactly what all fragrances, now the edges I will clean up. I do that off camera though. But I'll tell you in a minute exactly what all fragrances I did blend together for this batch of soap. Like I said, the one I used Rain for that fresh spring scent. I've used Orchid Rain, which is it's an orchid scent, but with that rain fragrance to it. I have also used Botanical Orchard and Nectar, Pink Magnolia Blossom, Water Lily, and Jasmine. And I'm honestly surprised that they have all blended so nicely together. I'm just cleaning off my wires before I cut the rest of this so that it does not drag down through the soap. I'll get this lined up and get these final few bars cut. Very nice. I am pleasantly surprised with the way this turned out. Now this will sit and cure for the next few weeks. So we will see if it does end up with any kind of discoloration at all. These, edges that you see when I plane the soap, it will take care of those. As you can see, the little bunny head and the ducky on top. This last piece, I will do is I will lay it down in here, and I will get 3 sample size pieces that will go out in orders. Set those aside. All right, well there you have it. I still think I'm going to call it Easter flowers. I think it'll work because bunnies and the little chicks, if you have a flower bed and they're out, they're always in the flowers. So I think calling it Easter flowers will work. And since it's just a nice mix of springtime fragrances, flowers, I think it'll work well. Alright, so I'm going to get these videos attached together and I'll get this uploaded. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.